So this video is going to be about the differences between the ENTJ and the INTJ. And I'm going to be examining those differences based on the differing tertiary functions in those types. So the INTJ has tertiary introverted feeling, FI, and the ENTJ has tertiary extroverted sensation, SE. So let's start with FI. FI is, as in my opinion, this function that focuses on the deeply personal and the subjective values. And as a consequence of this focus on the subjective and the personal, the FI is often prone to self-expression and sort of, I think Jung describes it as a sympathetic parallelism. So one of the quotes from Teller in INFP is that he wants the beautiful things in life are these moments where his values, like a penny in the sand, just shine through and you get to appreciate them. And so they're very much for that, the upholding of personal values, and they want other people to have the right to uphold their own personal values, and they don't judge one another. They live and let live. They don't say my personal values are more valid than yours. They just focus on the sincerity in which you believe in your values. So it's this very Kierkegaardian perspective. Kierkegaard being an INFP. So in the ENTJs, FI is repressed, so we don't get this focus on the deeply personal and the subjective reality. And Penn Jillette is an ENTJ, and he provides an excellent example of this in his in a video called Penn Jillette, the why tolerance is condescending. And he talks about how once you say I believe in God because I feel that there's God, and you have to respect that. Once you say that, you sort of wall yourself off from constructive discussion and from constructive criticism. And you've also given license to everyone else's personal realities. You've given license to personal realities like Al-Qaeda's, and you've given license to personal realities like Charles Manson's. And so he's very much aggressive towards that sort of laissez-faire reaction. And he also says in that video something about how he very much believes in a world that goes on existing when we're not looking at it. He's not focusing on man as the center of reality, not the personal as the center of reality. He wants to focus on an objective reality governed by objective laws. And this carries over into ethics. We see an ENTJ like Aristotle, who creates an ethical system where the personal values are all removed and they're absent from that system. Something that Bertrand Russell has commented on. And he replaces the personal values with these objective virtues that can be applied prescriptively to any situation. And so it's somewhat funny to me that online a lot I see FI being defined as ethics or morality, when ethics and morality are often these codified, very concrete prescriptions on how to act and how to be, which are sort of anathema to FI's reluctance to telling anyone else how to behave, and telling and judging things objectively. And I agree much more with Vanderhoop, who says that the ethics is a product of thinking. And so in the INTJ, where FI is not repressed, we get types like, or people like Nietzsche and their ethical systems, where man is the center of the ethical system. man is the important thing. Nietzsche's ethics are all about, freeing yourself and struggling for yourself and finding out for yourself what's good, and becoming Zarathustra yourself. And with Ayn Rand, there's also that focus on the self and kindling your own fire, as Michael Pierce describes it. And and a great quote for that is from Ayn Rand is that man is the only animal that adjusts his reality to himself, and I'm pretty sure that's not the exact quote. But INTJs might not subscribe to that philosophy in particular, but there is more of a passion in INTJs, like Christopher Hitchens, who goes on these very fierce polemics against against religion, and Martin Luther, who goes on these epic debates of very passionate engagement. And unfortunately with this, there's not that kind of INTP impersonal viewing of reality, where they just look at the merits of the argument itself. Sometimes with INTJs there can be a criticism of the theorist and the theory, and sort of lumping those together, but not always, obviously. And this is just more of the dynamic nature of the introverted feeling, or of the tertiary function, for which the INTJ is introverted feeling. So moving on to extroverted sensing, and in the ENTJ, tertiary function is extroverted sensing. And extroverted sensing I view as this function that, when differentiated, types want to interact with reality on a very have a very positive relationship with reality, and get away from these philosophical representations of reality. And they want to live in the moment. And so in the ENTJ, we see this in this sort of opportunism of the ENTJ, like Napoleon saying that an open throne always tempts me, and that leading to this conquest across Europe. But there's also a more positive relationship with just facts themselves, just reality itself. We have the ENTJ Aristotle, who, unlike Socrates and Plato, who are very much involved in their introspective, philosophies, Socrates saying that the unexamined life is not worth living. We get Aristotle, whose sensing is not repressed, who's very much okay to just go down to the beach and collect different seashells and sort of categorize knowledge, very much like the INTP, systematizing large amounts of information, of factual information. And so in the INTJ, SE is not tertiary, it's repressed. So we do get these withdrawn philosophical, introspective perspectives from, say, Hegel and Heraclitus, where they're trying to reveal a sort of paradox within reality, and that reality is really not as simple as we think it is. And there's sort of a reproach from reality, from interacting with reality at a very participating level. INTJs are much more observers than participants in a lot of their views. And there's also their tendency, because of the repressed SE, to skip over the facts. Like Newton, for example, according to Keynes, hadn't proved that you could treat the center of a spherical object as its mass for a while he was using that in his equations. He had only proved it until like a year before the Principia was published, and John Nash, another INTJ. The trouble with him wasn't finding out the answer. He would see the answer, but it was proving it to everyone else, demonstrating it factually. That was the problem for him. So that's what I have to say about the differences between ENTJs and INTJs. Thank you.